Good morning, folks. Well, the Lenten season is with us for yet another year, and Ash Wednesday was a wonderful day here with a wonderful turnout at the different services, and people seem to be ready to really get involved in the season. So at this point in time, this is the first Sunday of Lent, and I'm sure by now almost all of you have decided what you're going to do for the season, whether you're going to do something, you're going to give up something, or you're going to add to your prayer life or attend Mass daily, or whatever the case may be. So I'm sure most of you, at least, that you have decided to do something to work on your spiritual life during this holy season. What I would like to do is just look at the overall Lent. Sometimes, we forget what the season. We know it's all about penance and mortification, but overall, why Lent? What's the meaning of Lent? Well, really, to fully understand Lent, I think you need to understand it in relationship to Easter. You know that if you're building a house, building a new home, that you need to do the plans first. You need to see what you're trying to accomplish. Well, the same is true with the yard to Lent. At the very beginning, it's important to sort of look ahead, at what you're trying to accomplish. In other words, you need to begin with the end in mind. And the end, really, for a course of Lent is Easter. And in essence, I mean, in the mind of the Church, the season of Lent is a preparation for Easter, and in particular preparation for the resurrection of Christ from the dead. That is the resurrection of Christ from the dead, and ultimately our own resurrection is so central to what our faith is all about. So that's what we're looking towards. That's what we're working toward. We're working toward making ourselves more ready to celebrate the resurrection of Christ. But of course, the resurrection of Christ didn't occur alone. The resurrection of Christ was sort of the other side of the coin from his suffering and death. So somehow those two events, what we call the Easter mystery, the death and the resurrection of Christ, we call it the Paschal mystery also. Those two factors are key. And as St. Paul says in Philippians, he says, if we want to rise with Christ, we must first be prepared to die with him. So the Lenten season, of course, then is all about preparation for Easter. So when we think of Easter and we think of resurrection of the dead, we know that for Christ that it didn't happen automatically. We're told that he had to surrender himself. He had to die to himself. He came on earth as a human being. At his baptism, he was anointed at his baptism as a son of God. And so from that time onwards, he had to journey. He had to journey through life, and like everybody else, he did so as a human being, and in the process, he suffered much. And I think that the very beginning of Lent, of course, this coming Sunday, we have the fact that after Jesus is anointed as the Son of God, we're told that before he starts his public ministry, he spends 40 days in the desert. So imagine spending 40 days in preparation for your ministry. And at the end of 40 days, I'm sure he was starving, he was tired. He just wanted to go home like the rest of us. So consequently, when we're sort of down and out, that's ultimately, I think, when the devil sort of when he plays on our emotions. And so we find today's gospel reading, we find the three temptations stories where Jesus is tempted to. He's tempted to, in a sense, to give in. Okay, he's tempted to, in a sense, take the easy way out. First of all, we're told that when he's hungry, he's told, why doesn't he? In other words, why doesn't he turn Why doesn't he turn stones into bread? Okay, why doesn't he sort of take care of his own hunger, and also at the same time to take care of the hunger of the world? Next, we're told that Satan takes him up into a high mountain and says to him, "Fall down and worship before me. All these countries, all these nations, all this beautiful world, I give to you, because it has been given to me. But in order to do it, you have to sort of fall down and worship me." And again, Jesus is not prepared to do that. And finally, the third temptation is where he's taken to the parapet of the temple, and Satan says to him, "Throw yourself down. God will take care of you." And again, Jesus says he's not going to put the Lord his God to the test. So basically, what Jesus is telling us is that in and through those temptations, that he remained faithful. That is, he remained faithful to his calling as a real son of God. And also, I think that you could say that he went down the road which is less traveled, and not necessarily the road that all of us travel. That sometimes we take the easy way out. He didn't. And of course, the ultimate temptation for Jesus was at the agony in the garden, where he says to Jesus, he said to the Father, he says, "If this is your will, take this cup from me, this suffering, this torment which I'm about to endure, take it from me." But he says, "Not my will, but your will be done in all things." And we know that of course, ultimately led to the culmination of his life, which is suffering and death. So the journey of Jesus, from Ash Wednesday to Good Friday is a journey of surrender. As St. Paul says, he ultimately said he surrendered himself and was obedient to the will of the Father right up until the moment of his death, and it was because of that obedience that the Father raised him up to a newness of life. St. Paul also says, and this is in Philippians chapter 2, verse 5. Paul says, your attitude must be that of Christ. In other words, what Jesus did in his life in terms of faithfulness, okay, faithful to his sonship, and what he did in his life, like we are also invited to be faithful to our covenant with God, which ultimately that covenant takes place at our baptism. So during this Lenten season, we also have to, in the midst of everything else that's going on, we have to, above and beyond all else, overcome our temptations, and we do it, of course, by being like Jesus himself, being faithful in all things. So that's probably enough for today, but hopefully it'll give you something to think about during this holy season of Lent. Thank you.